had a dog. Not a normal dog either, but a giant black dog that would scare the fur off a hellhound. The potion had improved drastically, and the time span his creations lasted was getting shorter and shorter with each new making. "Well, it's a lovely unicorn," I finally said. "Much prettier than Angel." Angel was our dog. "I think I can make Angel prettier if you want." "Temporarily or permanently prettier?" "Will it hurt her?" I asked. "Permanently. And no, it won't hurt her," he said and sat down in his office chair. "It would be nice if she wasn't 5 feet high at the shoulders and not completely black. A white spot or two would make her look friendlier," I offered. "However, she has a great personality, and that's the most important part. Being a magical creation, Angel seemed to like all magical creatures with the exception of demons. She'd growl at them, but she didn't growl at the brood of vampire children next door or the werewolf cubs that proliferated the cul-de-sac. The vampires and wares used the forest to hunt. Our neighborhood had been specifically designed for that sort of thing. It catered to the hunting type of paranormal creature. Not a single human family lived among the 20 houses on this specific road, although my neighbors did have completely human relatives that visited at times. Jerome was back to mixing things up in beakers and vials. The mixture in the beaker was completely white. Jerome added something that smelled like sulfur, and it turned green and smoked for a moment, then went back to being white. He turned on the toaster oven, mixed up something else that looked like flour and peanut butter, and then poured the white liquid into it. It made a strange-looking blob of goop. He began to roll this in the air using magic until it formed a perfect ball. Then small pieces about the size of a quarter began to pull themselves off the bigger ball and set themselves on a small silver plate. "Your turn," he said, and a beaker of the imagination potion scooted toward me across the table. "I thought we weren't using me for experiments anymore," I said. My first encounter with his potion had created a fountain in our living room, a fountain that seemed to always have water despite not being hooked up to water. It bubbled and gurgled. But at least it wasn't a dog or other living creature that needed feeding and walking. It turns out that when you're given a potion and told to focus on something you'd like to have hang around for a short time, it's nearly impossible to think of anything. We'd gained the fountain, Angel, a unicorn, more notebooks than Jerome or I would ever need in our lives, and somewhere in the woods a green turkey roamed free. The fountain was the worst, even worse than Angel. Once in a while we came home to find it overflowing and soaking the living room carpet. It seemed to happen when there was lots of magic in my house. My father and uncles always overflowed it. I was a Nephilim. My father is the archangel Raphael. My mom is a human who tolerates my father quite admirably. They both treat the child in my garage like one of their own grandchildren, despite his not being related to us at all. Of course, if we can't heal Valerie, eventually Jerome will become my son. Valerie has already made me his legal guardian, so I can make decisions about his school and things. It's not a secret. She asked Jerome's permission first, and he agreed. Then they came and asked me together. Because of this, I gave up my job as an exorcist with the government. I can't travel all over the country and have a 14-year-old wizard in my care. Instead, I have opened my own private exorcism business. My mom works for me. She does all the billing to the insurance companies. Possession is considered a medical condition, and as such, insurance will usually pay for my services. It means I've gone from dealing with criminals to mostly dealing with teens who played with Ouija boards once too often at 3 a.m. during a sleepover. Just think of something less permanent and less prone to damaging the carpets than a fountain, Jerome said as he scooted the beaker the last couple of inches. I focused on a new car. Mine had been in an accident a few months earlier on some black ice. It hadn't been totaled, but it was currently two-toned because the shop that fixed it had failed to match the paint exactly. It was supposed to be a medium hue blue, and the new paint was nearly black, leaving my car with the color scheme of a really bad bruise. I reached down and took a swig of the potion.